What's up, everybody? I'm the rebellious one, also known as the unicorn, and you're tuned in to my channel. I would like to thank you for spending time with me because it could be several things you could be doing, but you're spending time with me, and I want to let you know I appreciate it. Um, as I said before, and I always say in any message, like, subscribe, and press the bell so you will be notified anytime that I drop new content. Now, as of today, being that it's Black History Month, and I feel like the schools have removed us from knowing about our history, that it is now time that someone really speaks what's real on what it is that most people miss out on. Some may agree, some may not agree. But as I said, I'm open to comments. I'm open to discussing anything with anyone. So do not feel shame to comment on anything. As well as if you feel that this message is informational, then I would like for you to please send it to someone else that they may watch it as well. Now, what I would like to talk about is where we've been and where we're going now. Currently where we're now. But in order for us to talk about currently where we are now, then we have to know where we've been. So, as it's been said, that most people say slavery just began and that the Europeans came over to Africa and that they grabbed our people from out of the jungles and wherever they were, and they took them and put them on the slave ships and shipped them over here. But in actuality, we must be honest with ourselves. Slavery has been around since ancient Egypt. You know this because your Bible tells you so. That there were Israelites who were slaves to the Egyptians. So when you go over to Egypt, as I've went, and you see these pyramids, you see the Sphinx, you see the Valley of the Kings, where almost all the pyramids are, that you don't realize and rationalize that the people in the Bible who are our people, they built these. That not only were these slaves building things for Pharaoh, but they also are being sold in to other nations, that they were used for military, that they were used as sex slaves, that they were used as several things that we think are new today, but in actuality, as Solomon said, nothing under the sun is new, and these things have always been practiced. Now, where am I going with this? It's first understanding this first, that the Europeans didn't come till maybe the 15th or 16th century, and then it's like trading um, gold, trading tobacco, trading whatever natural resource that the land had at the time. They traded the slaves the same way and used them for labor, used them for whatever purpose that it was that they were used for. So what am I saying when I say this again is that we've always been at battle with each other, the same way that we're at battle with each other now, where you don't like this person because they think they're better than you, and whatever the case may be. We've always been at each other. In order for us to get anything that we ask for, in order for us to move in any direction that we're trying to move into, to be unified and to get the things that we're promised about, like how the 40 acres and the mule, which I'll get into that later on in the discussion, that in order for us to get to those beautiful days that we see that other nations of immigrants come over and they're able to open up businesses and make generational wealth for their kids and their grandkids, in order for us to get to that point, we first must unify them ourselves as they have. We must do that because we haven't done that. We haven't even learned to do so yet. So that is the first thing that we must do. Now you fast forward that, and as I said before, and I tell anyone, you put 10 black people in the line and ask each of them who they are. You'll have one that say he's black. You'll have one that say that he's from Cameroon. You'll have one that says that he's from Jamaica. You'll have one that says he's from Haiti. You'll have one that say they're from the Dominican Republic. You'll have one to say that they're from this island or that island. But you refuse to understand that in society's eyes, you are black. Whether you're light skinned, whether you're dark skinned, you are a black person. If we don't ever gather that within our minds, then how can we ever go and ask for anything? They already believe that we behave like savages. They already believe that we're ignorant. Have we showed them anything different? I can never fault my rapper, but I see him doing these things. I see him putting money on the floor and doing things and saying that's why we can't give them no money, because they're ignorant. That's why we can't do this for this black person, because they're ignorant. That's what they think of us. They think of us as being ignorant. They think that if we got this and that, that we'll destroy ourselves. We're destroying ourselves with nothing already. Now, how do we overcome this? How do we overcome this? Because it's a lack of knowledge about what we are. Deuteronomy says what? That our hair will be cut, that they will remove our nose rings from our nose, that we will cry out in the streets for the Lord, that we will be punished up to 70 generations because of what we've done wrong, distasteful to the Lord. What is that we've done wrong, distasteful? People don't even know what it is, but it's something that's still practiced to this day. It's something that you know to this day, that you literally go to a witch doctor to get certain remedies to take away things. And although that's not wrong, because it does say that the plants and the different things of this realm do heal our bodies, but there were also bad practices. As of right now, people say that we're in February, but we're in Aquarius. But then you will post up things saying that I'm an Aquarius, but you're not knowing that this is the month that we're in, that constellation runs around this earth as the 12 constellations, as the 12 months. People don't even know that that's your month of the year. That you go see a psychic medium that'll tell you that you're coming into Jupiter and Saturn and different stuff, and that this and that's going to happen. And then it happens as she said was so. And then you have some of us that will refute that the sun and moon and stars exist, but there's observatories. There's people that spent their lifetime going in space that tell you that these things are there, but then you don't believe it, nor will you go look it up for yourself. What does it say? That we perish from lack of knowledge. That is what's going on here, that we have no lack of knowledge. They removed it from school. Now that it's removed from school, as a parent, you don't believe in none of this stuff, so you don't teach it to your kids. Or even if you don't believe it, you don't make them go learn it. That is what we have to start doing a better thing of. Because if we don't, then the same things will continuously happen. We will continuously cry out. We will continuously see other people having things that we don't have. We continuously get angry, burn down the businesses in our community. And we're doing this because I understand that we've been disenfranchised for so long that it's anger that you wonder why, and you see other people having the carrot and then they're dragging it along, but you can't never catch up to it. So I completely understand the logic and the narrative behind it, but it's not how we can behave anymore if we want to be taken seriously. If we want to sit at the table, we want to be able to have whatever it is that was promised to us, then we have to be able to do these things. We have to unify ourselves. We have to understand that we were deported to these places, that we are not those things, that we are all the same. We are all looked at the same. Everyone else knows that they're Caucasian, knows that they're Indian, knows that they're Asian, knows that they're whatever nationality, except for us. We're the only ones that continuously argue about these things. We continuously dispute these things. We continuously dispute our Creator, the Lord God. We continuously dispute, wondering if this is true. But then you'll see people saying this person is worshiping something bad. We've always been worshiping something bad. We've never been on an accord. One nation is worshiping Yahweh. One nation is worshiping Dragon. One nation is worshiping this idol god and that idol god. We've never been on page with anything until whenever people will say, till the slave masters put us in that church and told us about the Holy Bible, and then people will still dispute that. But then there's people in other nations that haven't even took up the Christian word or the Holy Bible or what our ancestors read, whatever you want to call it. They these same things, but then for somehow reason we're somewhat more free than they are. But then they're telling you that believing this is wrong. That is why these things are happening. And once upon a time, we had a religion about ourselves. We had a creator that we believed in, that we really prayed and sung songs and sung them from our hearts. And those people were free. And then they taught us this down the line, that your grandmother and your great grandmother who were slaves and great 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 down the line taught this Bible this, and then this Bible that, and then it comes down to you. And then the younger generation does what? It's the same thing you see now about the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King lost his life for we can go to the same schools and not be segregated at lunch tables. And then the younger generation doesn't even know anything about this except for they get out of school on his birthday and that he has a monument in Washington. That's all they know. But it goes to say the same thing the Bible said. What? When Abraham passed on, then all the people forgot about Abraham's God and they suffered. The same thing happened now because you're suffering because you forgot about Abraham's God. Can I ask you now? Return home. Return home back to your father so that you can see that you can walk out of Egypt or walk out of wherever you are now into a land of promise, into a land that's been promised to you. It says that everything will go good for you in a land that's not your own if you take up the Lord God and follow his commandments with your heart. And when you say with your heart, it doesn't mean that we're not going to sin or that we're not going to have wrongdoings, because as I tell people in all my messages, we've been told what to do by people that we cannot see for the longest time. And they're always been smarter than us. They always been manipulating us. They always been doing every single thing. And then you're saying, Chris, that's true. But how do I overcome that? You have the free will. Just as you have the free will to live whatever lifestyle you do, whatever you have the free will to have whatever religion that you want to have, you have the same free will to not know that, to not know what they're telling you. You still have the same free will to go and have this knowledge about yourself, to understand these things for what they are, because we're not unified on none of these things. People will literally tell you all kind of different things and all kind of different conspiracies, but the main conspiracy is that we enslaved ourselves first. This is nothing different than what we did to ourselves first. Our ancestors did this, fighting amongst each other, and then they fought amongst each other so much that they didn't even see when the other people come along to take them away, or that they sold these other people into the slavery that we are. We are ancestors of that. And then we will continuously dispute about what we are and where we're from. This must stop. It must have an ending point to it in order for us to move forward. How can we even expect to move forward and we're so separated? We're so separated that it doesn't make sense how separated we are. That because I'm light skinned, then I'm different because you're dark skinned. What does that matter? We're still ridiculed the same. We're still whatever the same. But there's people with millions of dollars that are the same color as us, that tell us that they love us, that tell us that they want to make our lives better, and then they don't. Why are we not holding those people accountable? Or why are we not showing those people that we can do right with whatever we're given? We're not asking for a handout, but why can't we show these people what we can do? How we can act? How ignorant is it to see someone who gets upset about something and then you burn down the places in your neighborhood where you go to get food from, where you're putting money in their pockets, and then you're hoping that that person has a kind enough heart that they'll put money back in the community so that other people can do the same thing that they've done. And that's what we're on right now, is I'm about myself. Because if you notice it, every person says, I'm about myself, I'm about my people, I'm about this, that, and the third. And you know what? Let's just be completely honest. You ever wonder why all of your influential black people, why they lose everything? Is because it's times like this right now where you're sitting at home and you don't have a dime and you're a religious person. Or you're not religious, but you found religion. So then you're praying every single day. You're saying, Lord, if you do this for me and you do that for me, I promise I'm going to look after my people. I'm going to do this. I'm going to build community centers here. I'm going to build housings over here. I'm going to open up jobs for people to get this, that, and the third. And then when you get it, you don't do none of those things. So it's as Samuel told Saul, what the Lord giveth, he taketh away. And now you're seeing us now going after the rapper. As I said before, I don't have this message for any particular person. It's not aimed at no particular person. It's just aimed at the system of our thought process and how we're going about things, and letting it be known that we're going to perish, that soon us that are remaining are going to be gone from here, and that if we don't somehow come together and make some kind of unity amongst ourselves, that there will no longer be us, that we will no longer be nothing about us, because we no longer value our black women. We see our black women as weaved hair, makeup wearing women who are broken just as we are broken as men. And then we continuously tear them down. We continuously put them at the wayside. We continuously treat them and talk to them like they're nothing. And we have to do a better job of not doing that. We have to do a better job of loving our kind and loving ourselves. Now, I'm not saying that if you're married to someone who is of a different nationality than you are, that you're wrong, because I'm not telling you to choose who you love. I've always heard it saying, and I believe in that. You can never choose who you love. You can't do that. If that's the person you love, then that's the person you love. But does that mean that you don't have any pride about yourself? Does that mean that you should push everybody to the wayside that is just like you? No, you shouldn't. But we see that more commonly than anything else. And we have to start changing that narrative. And we have to start doing better by our communities. We have to start figuring out ways to be able to DM our influential people of color, and finding out ways to where we can impact in a bigger way, and hoping that they listen. And if they don't listen, then that's whenever we need to start mentioning their names, that we need to start letting it be known that you're not for us, that you're not trying to help us advance into having our spot at the table. We're not asking you to give us our spot at the table, because there's many talented people. People that know me know that I write movie scripts, I write magazine articles, I write TV shows, I write books, I write different things. So I'm not asking you to do anything for me less that my talent can't do for myself. But what I'm asking you to do is back up the words that you're talking about. Back up what you told me when you first came in, because the Bible says what? Everything starts from humble beginnings. Every person that ever comes along that we put on the pedestal, that we say this is our guy because he's talking about us, he come from a humble beginning. And then as he gets further and further and further into whatever he's doing, he loses sight of these things. We can no longer allow our men or allow our women to lose sight of what they told us in the first place. You have to hold them responsible the same way that you hold a politician responsible, the same way that you hold a community activist responsible. We have to start holding them responsible for what it is, not fighting amongst each other, because again, that is why we're here. Not only is it that, it's also the religions and the gods that we chose other than Yahweh is another reason why we're here. But mainly that focus came off of us fighting amongst ourselves. We are still infighting now. We are still not agreeing on things now. So how can anything change? Even if they was to change it, it wouldn't matter about us changing it, because we ain't even together on nothing. We can't even get together for 5 minutes to sit down and discuss anything about gang violence, about how to keep this gang from fighting this other gang. Y'all accumulate enough money amongst each other in the gang that you can start building things here. Not saying that the children that are lost won't go to your gang, but saying there's ways that we can go around these things to try to inhabit better standing within ourselves. This is something that we're going to have to do. Because as I said before, we spend time thinking about ourselves. And that is not what anything has been said. Period. The one thing that he said above all things is loving thy neighbor as thyself. Now, granted, that could go for anybody who walking this earth, matter color or gender or sexual orientation. So that goes for anyone. But it mainly has to go for us, because we're not understanding our history. It's a shame whenever kids are not sure who Dr. Martin Luther King is. It's a shame whenever they're not showing these things on TV as much as they should show them. But we're not saying anything about it. We're not making the $1 million movie about that, but we'll glorify the drug dealer. We'll glorify that drug dealer who gave the drugs to his community and destroyed them. And then you wonder why he went and had turkeys for the people during Thanksgiving, or bought Christmas presents, or bikes. That's the righteous thing that he can do in his head, because he's saying, I'm killing their parent. I'm putting their parent in the hospital. I'm making that child be fatherless, be motherless. So that's the least I can do. But how about doing something better? We have to learn to start doing something better. Now, I know there's some people that's going to look at me and be like, look at him. Oh, Uncle Tom. Oh, whatever it is. Say what you want to say about me. But one thing's for sure, you can't call me no liar, because this is what I'm seeing. And if you're thinking that you're going to stay in this realm and that you're not going to do nothing positive and that people are going to remember you, they're going to remember you for nothing. And let's just be straight up with it. It ain't no walking around and beating around the bush with me or sugarcoating. Nobody going to remember that what you was in the trap. Nobody going to remember how much blocks you sold. There's going to be it's 5 other people that's going to do the same thing. You listen to your rap music every day. That a guy saying that he was the man, and we both know that anybody who knows real street people, that there's only a several few that's the man. If you had a jar right here full of gumballs that are all red and they represented all the people who are in middlemen or low class, and then you had a couple blue ones in here, it would probably only be a couple blue ones that you could see, because those are the people that really know about what's going on. So you wasting time. You wasting valuable time. It's something else that you could be other than that, because if you ain't all the way up there, then what are you doing? Don't be misled by what these people are telling you. They out here trying to get their money and ruin your life. You are in a trap right now that continuously keep on trapping people, continuously keep on ruining lives. You see our women now, every single one of them are naked. You can go on any social media platform you want to go on, and you will see every single person of our color halfway naked, advertising nothing but being naked. Or, I got my hair business. It's 50,000 hair businesses. It's 50,000 boutiques. What does that matter? What are you empowering? What are you empowering? You're empowering yourself and telling us that you're empowering others, but we don't see that. Show us that. Show us how you're empowering. I like the old people from back in the day that really was trying to do things. And these people done passed on and left this knowledge, and we don't even look that type of stuff up. We looking up nonsense. Worried about somebody's face diamonds and forehead diamonds and what signs they throwing up, when all these things have always existed. But then you don't even acknowledge the one thing that we know that exists, that your grandmother told you about, that you say, oh, she died broke because of this and that, because she was worshiping that old white man's God. And da, 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 da. He is everyone's God, not just a white person's God, not just a Chinese person's God. He is everybody's God. You refuse to call on him. You'll say Jesus is a man that I don't want to worship because I don't know if he existed. But then there's scrolls that say he existed, that he walked this earth. And I keep telling people, whether you want to believe in Jesus or not, that's your choice. Who knows what's going to happen at the end, because none of us know. And I won't be in line worried about you, because why? I'm be worried about myself in line. So I'm not worried about you in line. But one thing's for sure, the same way that I'm walking, the same way that you're walking, he walked. And it's been proven. So we leave it at that and understand that. First and foremost, before you even go no further than this conversation, that's what happened. Now, what you choose to believe of where he came from and who he represented, there it goes for whatever you want to do. Because at the end of the day, you always have free will. But know one thing's for sure. If you've been begging for certain positions and you haven't done what's right, it's going to be stricken from you this year. Telling you that now. If you're not doing right by your people and you are in those positions and you promise these things, the pay up time is now. I'm telling you right now, your pay up time to do things is now. Because in this year, you see it with the weather. You look up in the northern states. You look up in the southern states of how cold it is. You up north, it's still snowing. Different places, still snowing. You know about Nostradamus and his quatrains. Whether you believe in that stuff or not, some of the things came true. One thing that is for sure, not only Nostradamus, not only other people who predicted things, they all say that this is going to be the worst year of weather. You see the pandemic taking people's lives away. You're seeing all the signs now. People don't know if they're coming or going. Now is the time to figure out what's going on. And how do you figure out what's going on? Is by not only reading the Bible. You don't have to read it and believe everything in it, but you need to read that, understand that his name is the Lord God, Yahweh, Jehovah Jireh. Then you need to go pray about it and find out what it is that needs to be done. Or ask him, excuse me, that's the water, and ask him if this is true and if that is true and what changes I need to be made, because there's a chapter in the Bible that, because you don't read it and you don't know, that it says there's going to come a point in time where he's only going to listen to the people who took the appeals of certain people and everyone who you can think of, pastor, ministers, guy like me who has no affiliation to no religion, telling you these things. You're not paying attention to him. Then when he's not listening no more, when you crying out because you lost your house in a fire or comet hit or whatever the universe has in store for what's going on, when that happens and you call out for him, he's not going to be listening no more. It's chapters in there. I don't need to tell you what chapter it is. I'm telling you to go get knowledge in your brain. Because as I said before, they say that there's a race of people that don't read anything. That there's every other nationality that reads all kind of books, but we don't. Now is the time to start educating yourself. You no longer have to read a book. You got this paradox right here that can show you everything, and you can read all these things for yourself and start to educate yourself before the time be up. Because there's a lot of knowledge you don't know. People literally thought in 2012 the calendar ended. People literally thought so many different things that are not even true. And then there's other people that know this and they refuse to give you knowledge on it because they're scared. That is why. Because they're scared to give you knowledge. Because their contract says they're just supposed to keep you dumb, pretty much. Let's just be straight up with it. They got a contract that says, I'm going to keep you dumb. I'm not finna tell you nothing. Matter of fact, you ain't supposed to talk about none of this stuff or we going to take X amount of dollars away from you. And these are the people that you refuse to put their feet to their fire. But you will, like everything they do, you will say, oh, if they mess with them, that they're ridiculing this person. But you're still refusing to do this. You're still refusing to not embarrass them in person. Now they push it to that point, but literally trying to get these people behind the scenes so that we don't handle each other in a manner where everyone can see, but handle each other in a manner where no one can see. It's a shame when there's $1 billion lunch of $1 billion sitting there drinking champagne. Do you think the discussion was on how to help all of us get better, or you think the discussion was on how to get more money? That is the key thing. Everybody's discussing on how to get more money. You know what I really want to see in the future, but I don't want to see is when all this money that we're printing up, and we all know that it has no value on it, what is exactly going to happen at that point in time whenever money no longer has value and it no longer means nothing? So when you have $50 million in the bank, or a certain rapper had $96 million in the bank when he called his bank. When that means nothing, then what is going to be up with you? I'll leave you with that. As I say before, I love everybody. There's not meant for anyone. It's just hoping that we somehow get our heads together as a unit and move forward with what we're trying to do here. And if we can do that, then the outlook on our lives will be beautiful. If we can't do that, then we're going to perish. And as the good book says, it will be from lack of knowledge.